Welcome to the Virtual Antics podcast, where we help entrepreneurs streamline their business to six figures and beyond. These short, sweet, and info-packed episodes will inspire, educate, and leave you feeling motivated to take one more step forward in your business. So put down your never-ending to-do list, because in this podcast, we are interviewing the best of the best in the entrepreneurial world as they spill their secrets to success. This podcast is sponsored by Nodora, the all-in-one software for entrepreneurs to grow their business with unlimited landing pages, automations, emails and text campaigns, and so much more. I'm your host, Natalie Guzman. Now let's get into it. Hey y'all, welcome back to Virtual Antics Podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Guzman. Today I have the amazing Darleen Priday on the call. She is passionate about empathetic and relational sales. She equips business coaches and entrepreneurs with the strategy and confidence to sell their services. Welcome, Darleen. How you doing today?
Thank you, Natalie. I'm so excited to chat.
Hey, I'm so excited you're here, especially because we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is sales, but also because that's something I feel like a lot of businesses struggle with, and they feel, it can be, kind of like slimy, or sometimes they feel uncomfortable. So I'm so excited we're going to deep dive into this. But first, tell me how you got started.
Yeah, so I've been in sales basically my whole life, and I did what naturally came to me. I also, during my career, I had some sales coaching, or I took some programs, and they never seemed to fit with how I operate. It just did not seem authentic to me. So, I'm a little bit of a rebel. If somebody tells me you have to do something some way, I just kind of forge my own path. So I just continue to operate authentically in how, how I sold. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. So I was seeing a recurring theme of people just not feeling like they were able to sell their own services. They were either not doing it where they were really getting their value across, or they were following successful business people and it was not authentic to them, and it became forced or slimy, or so they just avoided it altogether. So that's what really spurred me on, because I feel like just giving them a little bit of information, a little bit of encouragement, and some processes could really set them on fire.
Oh, that is awesome. That's so cool. And so tell us, what is empathetic and relational sales?
Empathetic and relational sales is really understanding, active listening, and understanding what your client needs. A lot of times salespeople go in with a script or what they want to get across, and they want to make that sale. The reality is, if that person does not need your services, you are not better for selling them. You want to really understand if your service can help them, if you can bring value to the engagement, and if not, give them resources. So this way you build that trust with your potential client, whether they buy from you now, whether they refer somebody to you, or whether they're just, whether they want to move forward with you, they feel from you that you really care about them.
Oh, that is great. So that's actually what we do. That's how we close our sales. And I've always kind of called it like the soft sales approach, because I always felt like the hard sales was like, you're kind of going after it. You're like really promoting your business, promoting your services, and you're attacking. Whereas I wanted to come from a place where I was really helping the people, even in that call, right? I always give away, like, some people say too much value in my discovery calls, but it's because I could give you all the knowledge that I have, but it doesn't mean you're going to be able to apply it to your business. That's like where like the customization and the services come in. And so I love giving free value, because they can, take the time if they want to do it themselves. They're more than happy to, but I kind of like wrap that into my discovery approach, because like you said, we're solving a problem. So would it be called soft sales? Is that the correct term?
I guess so. Like, I made up like the empathetic sales, because that's like, I was trying to like kind of pinpoint what I do, and how I approach each conversation is with empathy. I want to put myself in someone else's position, and I want to offer them what is going to bring them value, just like you. If you have a discovery call with me, and I love how you said discovery call, because instead of a sales call, right, we're going to discover, do you need my services? How can I help you? and really uncover that. And if that results in a sale and a client, that's wonderful. If not, if I give them value and they want to go and pursue it on their own, that's wonderful too. Most times than not, even if they do pursue it on their own, at some point they kind of hit a wall and they're like, you know what, now I think I got as far as I can. Let me come to you and I can get them over that hump.
Yeah, and and they will come back to you, because are they going to go back to the person who tried to do hard sales, or are they going to go back to the person that gave them free value? That's what I always think about. Kind of same with social media, right? You see all these really big business influencers and people that have businesses that got most of their clients from social media. The way they did that was by giving free value. So I feel like that should be everywhere. It should be your social media, it should be your emails, it should be in your sales calls. Super important. And our closing rate is I think we have a 97% closing rate on discovery calls, which is
incredible.
I know, it's not unheard of. It's also because of how we get our leads too. It's not like we don't really do social media, so usually they know about us when they come on the call. But I feel like a big part of it is because of that we're giving value and we really just want to help, and that comes across so genuine. You can tell when someone is just trying to get the sale, and then when someone actually cares about your business and just wants to add their expertise to your business, right, and to help it grow. I think that is huge. So I love that you are, teaching everyone about this. I think it's something really, really important. And I had to kind of figure it out on my own, right? I never actually had anyone to coach me in this area. I never could find about it on YouTube. I literally went with my gut, and then also about how conversations went. And then I tweaked it. It took me years of really tweaking it to get this far. So, what are some tips you have when it comes to doing this type of sales?
Yeah, so I think that you need to really do your research on who you're speaking to, really understand what is their business. Obviously, you don't want to go in and just think you know what they need. You want to actively listen and understand what they need, but doing your research gives you a good window onto that person. You mentioned, closing 97% of sales, which is super impressive. But where is the lead coming from? Is it a warm lead? Is it a referral? Referrals are much easier to close than just cold outreach and that type of stuff. What I find is sometimes my clients are beating themselves up. I just had a recent client. She had a great close rate. I think it was 80%, but their marketing campaigns widened, right? And she was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. My sales to close rate, call to close rate went down. And the reality was she was not doing anything differently, and she was still closing a lot of business. Her window opened up wider, so that number is going to go down. So I tell my client, don't get hung up on those numbers and feel defeated. You have to look at the bigger picture. Now, if you're so I do my research. I actively listen. I really, like you, I bring value. I want to bring value. You will never go wrong with operating with a generous spirit. A lot of salespeople, claim that they're amazing hunters. I say I'm a farmer, right? You sow those seeds, you nourish them, you water them, and then it comes in. So it's about perspective and really caring about what that person is looking for.
That is awesome. Yeah. And that's what I found too, is asking the right questions, really, you think about your friendships, right? If you have any really close friends, the way you got there was by really investing yourselves in their relationship, right? Asking them how they're doing, asking what they need help with, really inserting yourselves in their lives. And I kind of do that in my discovery calls, where I'm asking them questions to figure out more, to really involve myself deeper. And another thing is being 100% honest. I've had people ask me questions. If I don't know the answer, I don't, bullcrap my way around it. I tell them, I actually don't know, but I can find out, or I can ask this person. I have the connections. I have someone on my team that is actually an expert at that. That's usually, and I've gotten clients from saying, I don't know. because they appreciate it. They know that I'm not giving them false info. I have my stepfather is I talk about him a lot on the podcast. He was an entrepreneur and he retired in his 20s, from the money that he made and as an investor. And one of the things that he is very, very, very careful about is not answering a question that he doesn't know the answer to.
Yeah.
And he'll say it straight up. He's like, I don't know enough about that, or I'm not in that world anymore. He said that to me recently, and he's like, I'm just not sure how to answer this. And
That's so wise. That's wisdom right there, because you can't know everything, right? And you build that credibility by being honest and authentic. And like, if I don't know it, I can either figure it out or I have a resource to get you the right information. But just kind of BSing your way through it comes across, inauthentic, and the people know.
Oh yeah, 100%. We all have a gut feeling, right? Most of us, we built our businesses off our gut feelings, and they have these gut feelings in the discovery calls. Imagine when you've been on a discovery call. I think that was another thing that really helped me with my closing rate, which I wasn't focused on the numbers for a very long time. I'm only now, just because I track a lot of different things, I know better. But So I really loved your advice about not getting caught up on those numbers. But one of the really important things is like just really making sure that you're nurturing this relationship. And like you said, you're not being sneaky, you're not lying, you're being upfront. And it's just really helped also build really cool connections. And like, if I wasn't able to help them, sometimes they respect me enough and maybe it's not a good fit. They might refer me to someone else that would be a good fit. So this is an opportunity. Sales call isn't just an opportunity to close sales. I feel like it's an opportunity to build a relationship and to, collaborate with really cool people. And you're really, you're representing your company. So it's really important to just.
You were speaking my language, Natalie, because I tell my clients all the time, the goal of the call is not that. The success of the call is not in the sale, it's to build trust in that relationship, right? Once you do that, yes, it can translate to a sale, it can translate to a referral, networking partners, so many different things. But we are bombarded by crazy messaging, hard sales, overstimulation, the voices that in AI, which is fantastic and all of that, the voices that are going to be remembered are the ones that are operating authentically and can build that trust.
Now, we talked a lot about like during the call. So now what about follow-up procedure? What is because I've tried a lot of different things, and this is probably one thing I don't have completely cinched down. So I'd love your thoughts on follow-ups.
So with follow-ups, I did a study before I kind of launched my business, and there was a number that said 70% of salespeople do not follow up, which I did not believe it until I started coaching people. So maybe not professional salespeople, but people that are selling, right? Because we all sell no matter what role we're in. So 70% do not follow up. The problem with that is that, again, we are bombarded by messaging, and if somebody is not being nurtured, they may have a conversation with you. They may be like, who did I speak to? Oh, wait a minute. Like, I know I spoke to somebody, but I don't know. Or, they may get initial information, be kind of interested, but it's not the right timing. And then 6 months down the road, have no connection with you whatsoever, even if they were bought in at that time. So what I do for my clients is I set up a cadence that makes sense. Like think of each sales call and put them in the right bucket, right? They're interested, they want to move forward, they need information, they need to digest it. That's number one. They are thinking about it. They have to talk to partners. They have to, talk to their team, blah, blah, blah. Might be longer, maybe Q2, put them in a different bucket. Love your service, but this is not a great fit for me right now. Maybe sometime in the future, put them on a different cadence. Or I will never use your service, but you know what? I may have friends that I need you. That's a different bucket, right? So like, it's not just, you can't and I know I've listened to some of your podcasts and I love automation as well, but not everybody, you can't just hit everybody with the same cadence, because then if I do not need your services and I just want to, or I say, you know what, Q3, hit me up again. If I'm getting a weekly email from you, I'm going to unsubscribe and that's the end of it, right? Because I don't want to be bombarded. So really using your emotional intelligence and figuring out what is the best cadence for that person and then automating it this way you don't have to remember everything.
I love that. Yeah. And I think it's so important because, like you said, automations are great up until a certain point. And I was just thinking, kind of like my follow-up emails, what I really like to do is I like to write about something that we talked about in the call, because that shows that it's not automated. I'm being thoughtful. Maybe it's like, hey, I told you about that resource that I wasn't sure on, and I talked to my people. Like, I feel like even follow-up saying something like that is super important. If you told them you were going to figure out something on the call, you better be following up within, I feel like 24 hours with that resource or what you said you were going to do.
Absolutely. And there's ways to automate it or send reminders without, but I love what you said because I feel the same way. Like if somebody is on vacation for 2 weeks and they're like checking in 2 weeks, just sending them a canned email is not good. Now you can have a canned email for a chunk of what the information you want to give and then personalize it, right? So I make a lot of tasks, in my CRM. So this way I know, okay, Natalie was going on a vacation. How was Spain? Blah, blah, blah. And then send additional information. So you are invested, but when you talk to a lot of people too, it can get jumbled. So make notes. And as more detailed as possible, that's going to make sense to you and really have the client feel like that you care about them.
Awesome. I think you gave us so much value today. I really appreciate you telling us. And I hope that we're like actually applying this to our business, because you guys just learned something super, super valuable. So I hope you're listening, taking notes, and you're applying it to your business. Where can we find more about you and your services, Darleen?
Sure. So you can visit dp-consults.com. That's my website. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I am always on LinkedIn, and I'd love to have a discovery call with anyone to see. Again, it's not a one size fits all. I custom my packages to what people need. Sometimes just that little bit of coaching gets them over that hump.
Awesome. I'll make sure I put that in the show notes as well. Thank you again, Darleen. And we'll talk to you guys next time on the Virtual Antics podcast.